Hi everyone, my name is Kendrick and welcome to INTJ Female. Today I get to interview Hannah. Hannah, did I say your name right?
Yeah, Hannah,
Hannah?
yep.
Welcome, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Kendrick?
Good, good. Um, so you just got your official typing result not too long ago.
Yeah.
What was your exact objective personality type?
Okay, so I got MF, NI, sleep, blast, play, consume. Yeah,
So you are a jumper INTJ
yes.
and you're exactly like Dave's superpowers.
Yes, I am.
So how did you feel and what did you think when you got your results back?
Um, I mean, I actually expected it. It was like pretty much exactly what I guessed as my type. So I was a little bit disappointed that I wasn't going to get something like completely random and that I got like pretty close. But overall, like it makes sense. It feels really good. And like getting the audios from Dave and Chan was just such an awesome, like humbling experience. So overall, I'm feeling good.
What was the small difference from what you guessed and versus what they actually gave you?
So I put myself down as OI, FI, so I wasn't sure if I was seeing SI or NI, but everything else was correct.
Okay, so that was the only thing that was confusing. You weren't sure if you were an ISTJ or INTJ.
Right, exactly, yeah. Because I just can't see that first function at all. It's a tough one to see for sure.
Right. It's also feminine too, right? So,
Right, yeah, which made it even harder to see.
well, let's start with that. So, you have feminine NI. What's your experience been like with feminine NI?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still kind of like trying to see how it fits in. But I guess something that I feel like um, I've noticed is that um, while I still get kind of locked onto an NI pattern, I feel very comfortable like reworking it. And I think that's in part because it's feminine and also because it's like sleep blast. So I'm like constantly like reworking this pattern, thinking about it, overthinking it, and then like banging on the heads of the tribe to see if it works. Does it work? Does it work? Does it work? Okay, no, like how can I readjust this? Blah blah blah. So that's kind of how I see it. And also just like I plan things definitely, and I feel like I need to have some sort of like loose plan, idea, expectations for things, but it doesn't feel very rigid. Like I'm not a super duper controlling IJ. I hope. I hope. So yeah, that's I
Well,
guess a little bit about it.
your blast is double feminine though, so it won't come across as very, controlling.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because when you watch Dave Superpowers videos, it's very pleasant, right? Like when he teaches stuff. So I think your blast is gonna be very pleasant. Like people would wanna like to hear it.
I mean, don't tell me that because then that gives me an excuse to blast even more. But yeah, I would hope so.
Would you say you're very blasty to begin with, as double activated blast?
I mean, I think that I am blasty, but I think that like if I were to place myself kind of like on a spectrum, I wouldn't be like the most blasty. Like I think the play blasts or the blast plays with like the savior TE got me beat for sure. I think that like where I see my blast is that I'm just like I always want to talk, and not always, but I often really want to talk or like share my ideas very easily, and talk about like what I want to talk about, and what I like want to blast about. So yeah, I guess that's how I kind of see it.
Do you have the blast play manic state? Like, do you get really manic sometimes from that? The crackhead blast play togetherness. Does that ever happen to you?
Yeah, it does, but it's like not super frequently. Like I couldn't sustain that. It's like periods of my life where I just like go crazy, and then like for 4 months after that I'll be like the opposite. Like it's like a very like a huge kind of swing, I guess.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, do you forget concepts and patterns as a result of that feminine NI?
I don't know. I guess it doesn't really feel like I forget concepts. But maybe I do and I just like don't realize it. But I think like I am forgetful. But I can't really tell like what I'm forgetting at this point. Like sometimes I'll remember like the gist of something, and like what was happening, but I won't really remember the details. So I don't know what that is. And I will say that like the only part that Dave and Shan were like not like 100% sure about my type was like whether or not I was masculine sensory or feminine sensory. So like they guessed masculine sensory, but they said that I could be feminine. So I'm just still kind of like working that out at this point.
What's your guess? Do you feel like you're masculine sensory or feminine sensory?
I feel like I have masculine sensory. Just talking with some other like type twins, and like working with like the audio and like learning styles, like thinking about those things. I think that I lean more towards audio than visual, although I do like have visuals, so I don't know.
You're very good at like listening. Like you learn by listening.
I learn by doing, actually.
Oh,
Like that's why I see the kinesthetic side of things. And I think that like I also like learn auditorily and also some visuals, but I've talked to some of like the other NIs who have like the masculine NI, and they literally like use pictures and drawings to memorize things, and I don't do that at all. Like I just don't need that. So, and I don't remember colors. I don't remember things like that, like the visual side of things.
yeah, me too. Okay. Yeah, maybe you're probably audio then.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking as well.
So you have consumed blast. So Dave said that consumed blast people have a know-it-all syndrome. Do you feel like you have a know-it-all syndrome?
Sleep last, yeah. I
Consume less. Consume less.
Oh, consume last. Okay, I got you. I mean, I think yeah. Like as a kid, I was kind of like the Hermione Granger kind of,
Yeah.
and I think she would probably be like consume last. And yeah, like just kind of like answering questions in class. Like I don't know. Yeah, I honestly like. I feel like I do consume a lot, um, but I do really see how I'm consumed last for sure.
Do you feel like you're consuming the same information like over and over again because you're
Yeah,
IJ?
yeah, and I'm just like very like weird about the consume. Like I just don't. I just would way rather play. Like I feel like I put so much pressure on like other people to give me the information so that I don't have to consume it myself.
Right.
Yeah.
But the weird thing is your consume is double masculine. So what's that like?
I have never really thought about that. I don't even know what would be the like a different like what's your consume? What are the animals for yours?
Mine or yours?
Oh, really? They're the same?
No, no, no. I mean, mine or yours? Like,
Yeah, like I don't really know what would be like how to compare it, honestly. Like I don't really know what double masculine consume looks like at all.
well, your consume is SF, so and it's double masculine. It's SE and FI. So you're consuming SF stuff, like like I don't know, cat videos or like like people doing dumb stuff or like it's it's like the cool stuff, I guess. I don't know. Like I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah. Um I mean I guess, yeah. I watch like I don't really feel like I have a super dumb consume. Like I'm not watching only reality TV, but I don't really watch like I don't know. Like it's just still very fiction and like things that I like. I don't know. Like I read literature and like fiction novels and watch fiction most of the time when I'm consuming. So it's
Okay.
not like substantive information.
Maybe we'll have to go back to this again later. But like you're sleep first. So what's that like for you to be sleep first?
Yeah. I mean, sleep first. Honestly, like I see the sleep in like how I kind of like do things preventatively. So like I will, yeah, I don't know how else to kind of explain that, but I don't feel like I'm constantly like putting on the brakes for everything in my life. But and I think in part that's because of that last play makes me a little bit more extroverted.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think like I kind of like do things preventatively. So I will like be very particular about like my friend groups, like who I'm going to be friends with. I'm very, very picky. If I feel like someone's going to like cause some trouble and like cause a bunch of conflict, like I'm very quick to kind of like put some space between us.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like I don't want to like deal with conflict or deal with things in the moment. So I'll kind of like try to work from a more like preventative approach. Yeah.
Is that because you're also self above tribe? Like it's good for you to like set boundaries for yourself?
Probably, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
because you're self above tribe, do you feel like you've gotten a lot of tribe hate as a result, or some tribe hate?
Um, I've definitely gotten some, but I don't feel like I've gotten too much. I think partially because of that like TE, the double activated TE. And honestly, like I really feel like the savior masculine FI plus like double activated TE, I can kind of like cobble myself together like a fake FE.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
not FE, but it's like good enough. You know what I mean?
It's probably because you're a double decider, so it's your balance with self and tribe.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, I think I probably have gotten into some tribe hates. Like sometimes I'll just like not yeah, like not realize stuff might be like super offensive or so. I don't ever go too far, but like a few times like I've maybe like slipped up. But I feel very comfortable like working things out with people and like um you know like dealing with conflict if it does come up, like I can do it. I'm not like shying away, so that's helpful with like tribe stuff, I feel like, and probably that's because of double deciding as well.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
What about SE chaos? So they said that double deciders have their problem area is fear, and for IJs, it's specifically fear of chaos. Can you talk about your fear of incoming chaos?
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like I want to be prepared for things, and I don't like to do things like on the fly in the moment. Like I can do it with the blast play, but it's like it's just so draining. Um, but I would say that like I live in chaos. Like my house is definitely a mess. Like in SE chaos, so like I don't know. And that does not bother me at all. But I don't like things that I don't like necessarily expect. And yeah, I don't know. Like I guess I feel the need to kind of like get my shit together um, most of the time. Yeah.
You are a lead NF. Like, what's that like for you to be lead NF? Like,
um, yeah, I guess like, well, with the double activated TE, it's like I feel kind of in between NF and T kind of.
yes.
Yeah, so like I do feel like I'm constantly like kind of puzzling things out and like working things out in my head. But it's like only stuff that I like. You know, it's
Yeah.
not like all the time. It's not like, yeah, I don't know. And I'm not like a super like hippie person. I honestly feel like maybe this is kind of off track, but I honestly feel like the typical like hippie stereotype nowadays is like more, it's like popular to be a hippie. So it's like almost like an SF thing now. I
Yeah.
don't know if you noticed that too. I'm from like the Pacific Northwest, so I think it's probably like
Oh,
especially prominent there.
where in the Pacific Northwest are you?
I'm in Oregon.
Oh, you're like you live in the same city as Dave also. That's
Not the same city, but same state. Yeah, very close.
okay. Okay. Oh, you're not in Portland.
I'm not in Portland, no.
Where in Oregon are you?
I am very close to the California border, and I'm on the coast. So
Okay, I see. Oh, like
yeah,
seaside or something, or
yeah. It's like near Coos Bay, kind of, if you've heard of it.
no? I've been to seasides, but I've never been that far. So, because I live in the Pacific Northwest also.
In Canada, right?
Yeah, in
Vancouver.
Vancouver. Yeah.
Nice. I've never been, but I have always wanted to go. It sounds like amazing up there.
Well, it's funny because I've been trying to get the Dave to come up to Canada, but he's scared to cross the border to Canada. He thinks something bad will happen, I think. I mean, that's the vibe I got from him because I was talking to him about it, right? I'm like, why don't you do a meetup in Vancouver? Because he's doing meetups in, California and in Oregon and Seattle. But he won't, like, in Vancouver's not that far from there, right? So he said, is it easy to cross the border? I'm like, yeah, you just show your passport, you go in. And he kept asking me questions about it, right? Like when I met him in the meetup, and I was like, this is not a big thing. This is just, you just cross the border, show them your passport, you go in. As long as you don't have any drugs or guns or whatever,
So funny.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. My guess is Dave has never left the U.S. before, but that's just my guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I don't know. That's one thing that yeah, with IJs, it seems like the NIs are maybe a little more likely to travel because like I love traveling. And yeah, I think I've heard a few of them also kind of like are fine with it. So that's interesting that Dave doesn't like it.
But would you say that depends if travel is in your NI box or not?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
So travel is in your NI box, so that means you like traveling then.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, can you tell us about your IJ box? What's in your IJ box, and what do you prevent from coming in that IJ box? I guess.
Yeah. These are good questions. Like I honestly like I feel like I'm not giving you very good answers because like I'm still in that point where like my my ideas about my type are kind of like this jumbled like box of wires, and I'm still in the process of like figuring out where they go, like which behaviors and which like thought processes connect with which like part of my type stack.
Yeah.
But that's a good question. What's in my IJ box? I mean, I definitely like know that there's some like categories that I have of things. Like I love languages. I love learning about languages, learning new languages, comparing them, seeing how they work, taking them apart, putting them back together, those kinds of things. And I think from that, like that kind of branches out to like being interested in culture, and how what is the relationship of culture and language. And so I think that's probably where travel comes in as well,
Right.
um, because I can like experience it that way. And let's see what else. Yeah, I mean typology is like a huge one. Like I've been interested in this for like a few years now, and that's like pretty much all I consume at this point, which is bad. Yeah, but that's a couple of things. Yeah, I don't know what else. Yeah, I don't know. If I think of any more, I'll let you know. But those
Sure.
are probably the big ones.
So far from what I've heard, what's in your IG box is typology and travel/languages. That's
Yeah,
like that's your thing. And then
yeah, I guess so. That's a good start. That like describes a fair amount of who I am.
yeah. No, because I'm a travel blogger, right? And I also like typology. But
Mhm.
for me, it's like I'm forcing myself to narrow it down on purpose because I was like, oh, I like too many things. Like I could add more easily if I wanted, but I was like, then I'll be like a typical EP that won't get anything done, right? So, uh, But for you guys, it's normal, right? It's like, okay, yeah, it's just this two. It's good enough, you know?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel pretty comfortable there. So,
yeah. How many languages do you know?
so I know English, and I studied Latin and ancient Greek in college, and then I have been learning Russian as well.
Oh,
Those are the ones that I like actually know. I'm not like fluent, but I like have a good grasp of those. And then I've also dabbled in French and a little bit of Japanese, but I don't really remember anything. Oh, and Spanish, but I don't remember anything with those three.
oh, I see. Isn't Ferguson like a Spanish last name, or is that is,
No, I think it's Scottish
okay,
actually.
I'm completely off then? Because
Yeah.
no, because I watched like a UFC, and then there's like a fighter who's like Mexican, and his last name's Ferguson. Ferguson.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so I was like, oh, that's why I thought it was like a Mexican last name, but hey, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I don't think so, but
Okay, I'm wrong. Um, you are. So I noticed that during the interview, you were doing rapper hands actually when you were explaining things.
I know.
You know that?
Yeah, I mean, they called me out on that in my interviews. That's why partially why they typed me MF is because I talk with my hands so much.
Yeah, and it's like the rapper hands, right? Like, yeah. Because I was like, okay, I think you're definitely masculine, feminine. You got rapper hands.
Yeah.
Uh, but have you gotten a chance to practice your SE at all? Like gathering facts and
Oh God, putting me on the spot here, Kendrick. I don't really like do that much, but I will say that like with this whole coronavirus thing, um, there was like a solid week where I was like checking this one website for like the data of like the statistics of how many people were like contracting the virus and how many people
yeah,
were dying. So like that's like gathering the facts, I guess.
yeah, no, it is. And how did you feel about like doing that?
I mean, it was fun. It was like very easy. I would just like go back to the same website every single time and then like refresh it. So it was like, like I systemized it. So it was like very easy for me to do it.
Yeah,
And I thought it was important for me to like, I don't know, like stay, I don't know, like I'm not, yeah, I think it's important to like know what's going on in the world. And I am not like naturally inclined to do that. So I was trying to be a little bit better about it. Um,
is it that the website that everyone looks at, the Worldometer or something? Like,
I don't remember what
it's
it's
like
called,
it has
but
like a red, like
probably.
the red one is like the dead people, like for deaths, and then it's like,
Uh,
and
that sounds right. That sounds right. I feel like, but I
yeah, I think so.
don't quote me on it.
Okay, no worries. So because you have NI, would you say your ideas are personal? Like if someone were to like crap on your ideas, would you get offended?
Um, I don't know because I honestly like I associate some ideas with TE, and like I can just tell you my thoughts about things pretty easily, and so like when ideas are kind of in the TE realm, I don't know, like I'm very ready to like throw out like what I think about something, or like um like how I think this thing works, like I'll just be very open about that and like expect others to do the same.
Yeah.
um but I would say that like if I see like the NI as like I know the way I want to do something, like if I have a project or like an idea that's kind of like more developing, I guess, over time, like the way that I want to do it, or like the like essential components of it are like my own, and I like don't want anyone to kind of touch those.
So from what I'm hearing, you have a system for doing everything in your life. So if you're gonna do this for school, you have a system for this. When you're doing this in school, you have a system for this, and it's your system, and don't mess with your system.
I mean, kind of, yeah. It that sounds like more rigid than it actually is, but I think that like it's very easy for me to like fall into routines or systems for the most part, about things that I care about, or like I see have like a worthy or like useful outcome, then like that's pretty easy. Yeah. But it's not like I'm a robot. It's like I'm so routined and systemized for every part of my life. Like it's not like that at all. Like I'm honestly like I'm okay, maybe this is me peacocking, but I feel like a relatively go with the flow for the most part.
um, I don't know.
Yeah. You'll have to take my word for
I
it.
think someone that knows you would have to like say otherwise, but I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't
I
know.
mean, I typed myself as an IJ, so like I see the control is definitely there. But I think that like having the feminine NI on top makes things a little bit more chill. Um,
Where's the control, by the way? Like what are you controlling?
yeah, I just think that I like always want to like have a have like a plan for what I'm doing like in my life. Like if it's a career plan, I'm definitely on a career plan, you know, and like everything that I'm doing is kind of like working towards that goal. And if I am kind of like I don't know, like any sort of problems that come up in life, like I problem solve and I want to get on like a game plan of like how we're gonna fix this, like and I think that kind of goes back to like this idea of a preventative approach too, of like, you know, like I want things to be kind of like on a certain track. Yeah.
Got
Does that
it.
make sense?
Well, it does make sense. I think what I'm trying to think now, because like what you described sounds kind of like masculine NI, but you're kind of like pretty flexible with it at the same time, so it's kind of confusing. So I'm not quite sure, but I think like the typical INTJ problem is that like you're so focused into the future, you're really working towards that goal,
Right.
but then the sensory chaos comes and like trips you up, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
you have any stories where like that happened to you? You have like a set life plan or career plan, and then you're working on it, and suddenly the boom sensory comes in, then you got tripped over.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, I have like small examples and then I have larger examples too that I could kind of apply that idea to. Yeah, I mean, like, a lot of it is that, like, you know, like I had this whole plan to be a surgeon when I first started college. Like, I was like, I'm gonna go to med school. Like, I'm dedicating, like, you know, like, this is like the next, what, like 10 years of your life to get through med school and then be a surgeon or whatever. And, like, as soon as I started, I realized I hated chemistry and, like, the experience was not at all what I thought it was gonna be. I wasn't very good at it either. I was fine, but like it wasn't my thing. I hated it, and I was like, "What am I doing?" So that I had to like change like my entire kind of idea for what I wanted to do, and that was so hard for me. But yeah, and like I just have had like similar kinds of things where like I'm going to do some sort of presentation or project, and like I can't figure out how to work the technology. Like that's like so fucking real. Like I'm trying not to cuss, but it's not happening. But anyways, yeah.
You can swear as you want. It's okay.
What was that?
You can swear as you want, as much as you want.
But it's like I don't know if I want me like for the like in case people see it. I don't know. I don't like that idea.
Sure, sure.
But
Oh, it's like the inner Dave's coming out because Dave swears so much, right?
and I swear like just as much as him. But I am trying to like hold it back a little bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was waiting for it actually. Coming out now. But no worries, I'm not gonna provoke you to. um, so it sounds like to me like the surgeon thing. I mean, first of all, yeah. Do you think like if had you consumed beforehand like what being a surgeon was really like, you would have avoided this chaos?
Probably, or like, yeah, I don't know, like tried chemistry or something, or like, I don't know. Yeah, like the consume is probably the problem. I played a little bit, like I shadowed a couple of surgeons, and um, it was okay. I like almost fainted actually, uh, but I was like, ah, it's fine.
That doesn't sound okay.
I don't know. Well, I thought like if I would just if I was actually the one doing it, like I would get over it, or like over time I would feel better about I don't know, seeing blood or like being in those positions. But
Didn't Dave
yeah,
say he's scared of blood too? Like,
I don't know. Maybe
I saw,
I'm not so scared of it, but maybe I am. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know if that's if I did hear him say something about like when you see blood, he wants to faint or something, and then you just said that too, and I'm like, oh, what the hell?
Oh, weird.
Yeah, that is weird. Like you said, you almost fainted, right? So I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Um, you have masculine FI. Can you tell us how your masculine FI is like? This you probably live in your masculine FI all day, but like let's
Yeah.
hear it.
Yeah, I mean, the cussing, I think that's where it comes from, is the masculine savior FI, just like feeling pretty passionate and like expressing it through strong words.
Yeah.
I also just feel like I'm a slave to my FI, probably because it's like my masculine savior, actually, now that I think about it. Like I just, it's also like the access point to consume. So like I feel like I'm just like such a slave to whatever my FI wants. Like that's what I'm gonna consume. If I don't want it, I don't like it, then like I'm not gonna like research it, unless it's like somehow connected to a goal or like a project that I'm trying to accomplish, then no problem. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of how I see it. Yeah, and I'm just like, I don't know, like I'm the realm of emotions are just pretty um yeah, like I'm not a very emotional person. Like I don't like cry a lot, or like yeah, I'm just like not very emotional. But like I feel comfortable like working, like talking about emotions and like giving advice, and like dealing with people who are emotional. Like that comes very, very easily to me. And I think that that's kind of that like faux FE that the masculine FI plus the TE kind of creates.
They said that people with feminine TE and masculine FI, so the feminine TE is kind of like what do you call it? Like the cat energy or something, and then it's like you're taking abuse from the tribe, and then like when they push you to your limit, then that's when you punch them in the face with that masculine FI. So do you have any stories where you've done something like that, where you were kind of like taking abuse from like the feminine TE?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. But like when the masculine FI does come out, plus the double activated TE, it's like crazy. It's yeah, I don't know. It's a lot. It's like a brick wall almost. But yeah, I actually do have a pretty good example of that. Basically, like I was abroad with one of my friends, and she got really sick while we were in Romania. And we didn't know what was wrong with her, but she was like very sick. So we took her to this like local Romanian hospital. And basically like we had to wait for forever to get her looked at, and then like the doctors would just like push us around to like different parts of the hospital and different like people, and so she was never able to be seen. And then finally when we sat down and like were able to see a doctor, like the guy came out and was like, she's fine, like get out of here, like, and we had been waiting for 5 hours or something. And like I didn't explain the build up very well, but basically like I was just like there was just so many different like things coming through that like we weren't like getting her needs met essentially. And so like when the guy like literally grabbed her wheelchair and like spun her really hard around towards the door, like I like saw her head, she like almost fainted like right there from that motion. I like snapped and I just like went off at this guy, and I was like stop. Like, I just came out like super, like probably like crazy American. And this poor guy was like, calm down, girl. Like, it's okay. It's okay. And then, but like, it got results, you know, like she was able to be seen, and from there it was fine. But like, after 5 hours, I was like, I am so done with this. Like, she's going to get seen by the doctor right now.
What was wrong with your friend? What happened?
Like, we still don't really know.
Okay.
And this is like years later. But yeah, we like, there was like, she's actually Canadian as well. And when she came back to Canada and got seen by doctors, like, they still didn't know what was wrong with her.
Oh,
Yeah, so.
so speaking of that, because you're an IJ, technically you're into conspiracy theories. Like, are you big into conspiracy theories and those kind of stuff?
I'm not like super, no. I think to me that seems more of like an EP thing. But I like them. Like, I like learning about them, and I think they're kind of interesting. But yeah, like, I'm not like a conspiracy theorist. And in part, I think my dad is also an IJ. Um, and my mom is a single decider. So I think that, like, I've watched her kind of temper his crazy IJ-ness
Yeah.
throughout my life. So I feel like I've learned a little bit to, like, what's crazy and what's not,
Yeah.
from that kind of relationship.
Yeah.
But I do think I have a tendency to, like, get kind of interested, and when someone else is really convinced about something, I'm like, okay, you know, and I haven't done the consume about it, so I'm like, all right.
Oh, you're thinking at face value, you mean? Like when someone says that to you?
I mean, no, like, I think about it. I'm not like super gullible, but yeah, I mean, I think I'm probably a little bit more, I'm willing to entertain theories like that than I think maybe single deciders would be.
Yeah, because like last week I was watching this INTJ finance guy. His name is Robert Kiyosaki. I don't know if you know him.
Mm.
But anyways, he's officially types an INTJ by objective personality. And
Mhm.
the first thing he says on the video was like, "Is the coronavirus even real? I think it's fake." And I'm like, "Oh, geez."
Oh my god, that's so embarrassing.
And he's consume last, right? His type is consume last, and I'm like, "Oh, geez." Like, he's like, and then after he said that the coronavirus is fake, he said it must be a conspiracy by the government, and I'm like, "Oh my god." Yeah.
Okay, wow, that's not
I'm,
good.
I'm like, this is just crazy talk now. Like, it's so crazy, right? But I guess it doesn't sound like you're like in the far deep end of like IJ box craziness.
I don't think so, no.
No. Your play is ST. What's that like? What's ST play?
Um, yeah, let's see. How do I play? Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I guess it's kind of boring. When I am asking about stuff from people, it probably is like boring stuff of like, oh yeah, yeah, okay, maybe so. Yeah, I'll just kind of like ask maybe not super interesting questions. But I think that, like, if we're talking about something that I'm really interested in, then I can like hold conversations and like hang out with people, go back and forth like all day long. Um, so, but it has to be like certain people, and like, yeah, like I couldn't do that with strangers all the time. Yeah.
So they have to be inside the IJ box for you to have that back and forth conversation kind of.
I guess so. Yeah. Can people be in an IJ box? Like, do you think that that's a thing? Like,
I think so. Yeah, 100%.
okay. Okay. Well, then, yeah, I think then that would make sense. I definitely feel like I have like a very close circle of friends. Yeah.
Well,
Like,
I think that's kind of good though, because like you build a relationship with them. It's kind of like NI with people. Like you're building like you really get to know that person. You build a long-term relationship with this person. You know, instead of having so many shallow relationships, you have like deep relationships, right?
exactly. And like, I've always always been that way to a fault. I think that like I think it's a good thing. It can be a good thing. Because I'm seeing a lot of like play first or like EJs kind of like taking in like whoever kind of comes their way and not really having a filter with people.
Yeah.
And that can like come back to like bite them in the ass.
Yeah.
But also I think that like it can be really good. Like you're very likable when you're that way, and you are more open to like new people and new experiences. And I think I have a tendency to like go the opposite direction and like and kind of shut down like bring down like the doors and the walls around kind of like my little sphere of people to
Yeah.
consider.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Um, I have a question that I don't know if it's related to up or not, but it's like,
Okay.
I've always kind of been curious, what is the INTJ's relationship with ENTPs, you know? Because, you know, they always say that INTJs get along with ENFPs really well, right? That's kind of like the default. But you're supposed to also get along really well with ENTPs. So is there any truth to that? Or is that just, because I never hear anyone talk about that.
That's a really good question. I love ENFPs. Like I have so many ENFP friends. Like I feel like we attract each other like magnets.
Yeah.
It's awesome. ENTPs though, I don't know if I feel super confident typing anyone that I know is like 100% an ENTP. But honestly, like I think it's not as good for me personally. I think that they have a tendency to like fuck with people, like mess with people even more. um like just kind of like I don't know, cause a little bit more chaos with relationships and with like yeah, I don't know, with people. And like they've got that kind of like yibby skibby vibe often. And I don't know, like I feel like I like them, and I actually like probably I would really love to be in NETI. Like I think that would be just like the coolest functions to have, but it's almost like too much for me. Like it's like too much. It's like too chaotic. Like I don't know. That's how it feels. Like I'm just like they're kind of just too unpredictable. But they're really smart, I feel like, and like I feel like there's just so much potential with them, but like I don't feel like I've ever really like clicked with one in the way that I have with ENFPs. But
The way you described that was so double decider. Like at first you
really?
were like bashing them, like,
Oh shit,
and
sorry.
then I think like subconsciously you caught yourself and you like try to repair it. So
Sorry, ENTPs.
you just write down, they're like jaw drop, you know.
I'm very honest, so
No, I think no, it's fine. I think it's fine. It's the truth. So,
right, yeah, I feel like it is the truth. So
what about other IJs? What's your relationship with other IJs? Like, do you have INFJ friends or other INTJ friends or?
yeah, I don't know. I also don't know if I have any INFJ friends, but I definitely have a lot of like um INTJ friends. Or I think maybe one of my friends might be like NITI, like the jumper version of an INFJ.
Oh, okay.
And I think I like she's really hard for me to type. Like I think she might be one of those weird ones, like the sleep consume maybe.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. So I'm not sure, but yeah, like my first boyfriend I think was an INTJ. And yeah, I think I often kind of like hang out with them. And like also ENTJs too.
Oh, you get along with ENTJs really well as well.
Yeah.
Do you clash with other IJs or like, cause like, you know, you both have the same functions and stuff, and maybe, you know, the conversation, like someone's trying to take over as like, no, I'm the blaster here. Like, what are you doing? You know, like do you feel any of that happening if you're interacting with other IJs or?
Yes, but also like I think I'm the one that usually is more movable with things like that. Like I'm not a very pushy person for the most part, so yeah, like I do think that I've never tried to like maybe do a business or like a real project with another INTJ, and that might get kind of funky. I don't see how that would work super well. But yeah, like I think I said my dad I think is an IJ as well, an ISTJ. And yeah, like it's sometimes we butt heads quite a bit. Um,
Is your dad like enforcing the SI on you or something? Like the
yeah.
sensory organization?
Yeah, or just like ST in general. Like he's just so good at the ST, and like constantly is like telling me that you're responsible for this. Like you need to do this thing, and I'm not very nice about it. Like I just don't want to ever. I don't want to do stuff like that. So that's like where almost all of the problems between us like stem from, I think.
So you use your masculine FI to fight back with your dad, I guess.
Yeah, and we just like don't see. Yeah, we just like come at things from kind of different ways, I think, like different perspectives. Um, yeah, so we don't read each other very well, I think. Actually, no, I read him well, but he doesn't read me very well.
Yeah, probably because of the intuition, the lack of intuition. So it's hard. What
Right.
about your mom? You said your mom is like an IP or EJ or something? Or
Yeah, I think she's FE lead.
oh, like an ESFJ or ENFJ of some sort?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So is she blasting like, I don't know, play nice with the tribe or whatever, or that kind of stuff?
I honestly, she might be blessed last, and I think I think she might be a jumper.
Okay.
I think because like I see her as someone who's blast last. But it could just be because like I'm an only child, so like the only people she really is with most of the time are like my dad and I, and we are maybe a little bit more blasty, so maybe she's just trying to like accommodate,
Yeah.
you know?
That's funny. There's two blasters and like,
I think so. Like maybe I have him wrong, but I'm pretty sure he's a blaster as well.
would you say a lot of your family members are like IJs? You know, like because they said that I think your personality type, a big chunk of it's genetics. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like it's funny that you asked that. Like I've been thinking about this recently. I definitely have we have a lot of like NISE axis, I think, um, in our family. Like my mom's side mostly is where I see a lot of the NIs. I think we have, yeah, I don't know their types completely, but I don't think we have a very SINE family. It's except for my one aunt. I think she might be an ENFP.
What about your dad? You said your dad is SI savior.
Right. My dad's side, I think, is much more like TI, and then the SI side of things. But I guess the majority of my family is like on my mom's side. So like my dad's side is much smaller. So I guess I go there first when I think about it.
There's more people.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, because my dad's side's all N dominant. Like when I talk to them, it's easy. But then my mother's side's all like sensory dominant, so it's like kind of more challenging to speak to them. So that's why I was asking you. So I was like, okay, because if your dad is like sensory dominant and your mom sounds like could be sensory dominant also.
Yeah.
Where did you come from? You know, like
Yeah, I do think that we have a lot of NI though in my extended family. Like I think one of my cousins is probably some type of INTJ, and her dad is probably like my uncle is probably maybe an INTJ as well, or an ENTJ more likely. So yeah.
all right, Hannah, I have two last questions for you and then we are done. So the first one is what can you do in the future to help you work on improving your consume or your SE?
It's a great question, Kendrick. Yeah, that is like the $1,000,000 question, isn't it? Well, I am still figuring it out. But I think that like um a lot of it is just being more open to doing things that I don't want to do, or looking into things that I don't want to do. And I think like trying to like hijack my FI to get it on board with things like that, like somehow like make it more interesting or something that I like, you know, hijacking the Fi. And then also like I think that for me too, I realize that sometimes the my kind of, not, I don't want to say dependence, but kind of dependence on playing before I go down to consume is like putting a lot more like on other people. You know, like I kind of ask a lot of them. You know what I mean? So being more aware of that, and like that's kind of like a dick move, you know, to make other people responsible for the things that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, like kind of guilt myself a little bit. And it doesn't work super well because like, you know, I'm self above tribe, but like I think it does, like the fear of the tribe and like yeah, I don't know, like I do care about other people. So yeah, kind of like, yeah, hijacking that could work.
It's funny that you mentioned that you feel kind of like it's bad that you're using your play to gather information from people and you're putting the responsibility on them.
Yeah.
But like when you talk to someone that has lead consume, it's kind of like they feel bad that they're not blasting enough. Like they feel like they're a taker for just consuming information. But then you're probably thinking, it's like, no, I don't want you to talk. I want to talk, you know, like, you
Yeah,
know,
so maybe I just need to find a consume savior and then not do anything, not work on myself, right?
yeah, forget about the self-help stuff. Yeah. Who cares about personal growth? I'm just
Yeah.
um, the last question I have is, do you have any questions about functions that you don't have, like NE or SI? Because those are the ones I have, and you have lots of ENFP friends, right? So, do you have any
Yeah.
questions about like those other functions compared to like the difference between yours and those ones?
Good question. Yeah, I mean, how do you? I guess I have a few different questions. One of them, yeah, is SI because that was one that I thought I might be. So, like, how do you experience SI? So maybe start with that, and then I have another one as well.
I think with SI, it's like very step by step. So, like, I figured this out just like like 2 weeks ago, I think.
Hmm.
Um, because like I like to read a lot of books, but then I noticed that I don't remember anything I read. Maybe because I've consumed Demon also. So I'm like I'm gathering, but I'm not absorbing it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I relate.
Or I forget because my N is also feminine like yours. So I forget the concepts and patterns that I read.
Right.
So like I was thinking, I was like, okay, what would someone who's a double observer would do if they have NESI? What would they do? And I
Hmm.
was thinking, I was like, oh, I see. So what they do is they take all the information, they gather it, and
Hmm.
then they put it into step by step, like SI step one, like step one, do this, step two, do this. So I'm like, okay, next time I read, if I can't put it in a step by step, then it's useless information, right?
Wow.
So like I read like a few books recently, like the 22 Laws of Immutable or some marketing book. Forgot
Yeah.
the title actually, and the Blue Ocean Strategy. And everything I did was like, okay, what's step one? What's step two? What's step three? What's step four?
Yeah.
Is there step one, two, three, and four? If there's no step one, two, three, and four, then it's not a useful information, you know? It should be something that you should be able to do step one. Like I should be able to go to you. I'm like, okay, Hannah, if you want to fix how to consume properly, this is step one, this is step two, this is step three, this is step four. And you're like, oh, makes sense. And then you just do step one.
Whoa, that is like a superpower. Oh my god.
Yeah, but I didn't realize until like just like 2 weeks ago, you know? Like
Yeah.
because I feel like I've been like reading all these books. I'm like, oh, because like someone in a group, I forgot who said it, but like they said that you haven't. Oh no, it's Benjamin. Benjamin said this.
Mhm.
You haven't really gathered anything until you've organized it, and then it's like vice versa. You haven't really organized anything until you've gathered anything. So I'm like, oh man, he's right. Okay, I better like organize whatever I gathered. Otherwise,
So do
otherwise,
you write things down? Like do you, when you read a book like that, do you like open up a spreadsheet or something, or like a Google Doc and like write down all of the steps? Like is that what you actually do?
yeah. So I have a Word file, and what I've been doing now is like I have like different sections. So like I have one for let's say personal development. I have one for
Yeah.
marketing. I have one for
Yeah.
fitness. You know, and like okay, if I want this result, so let's say the result I want is let's say I want to lose weight.
Hmm.
So step one, you know, do this exercise, like say squats. Step 2, do this. Step 3, do this. And then cardio. Step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. Step 3, do this. And then nutrition. Step 1, cook this food. Step 2, eat this food. You know, it's like
Wow.
step by step. And then I think if you were to read it, you're like, oh, okay, that's pretty straightforward. That makes sense. You know.
Yeah, like that sounds kind of obvious, you know, or like I don't think I would use lists for that maybe, but I see how that would be super helpful. Like, wow, what a great blast that you would be able to with the SI and the TE. Holy crap.
Yeah, well, because it's easy to follow, right? Like people will read
Yeah,
it, they're like, oh, okay, well, I'm not confused because like
right,
I'm not talking about just NF concepts where
right.
people are like, what? You know? I think the NF is the goal though. So like whatever you're doing with the SI, like the step by step,
Yeah,
the result is an NF thing though.
yeah,
It's like let's say that the goal is like I want to have less I want to have better self-esteem.
mm-hmm.
So that's like an NF concept, right? Self-esteem. Like you can't, it's not concrete, right? Like what is self-esteem? Like how do you measure that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like with a step by step, it's like step 1, do this, step 2, do this, step 3, do this. And then you're like, and then later you go back in your room, you're like, do I feel more self-esteem? It's like maybe a little bit, you know? You
Oh,
know,
that's so interesting. Yeah,
I don't know. Like
I
that.
don't think that's not similar to my process, I don't think. But wow, that sounds like you'd get so much done if it was all step by step like that. Like, wow.
Well, I wish I learned this when I was 18, but like, I guess never too late. But that's I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, no, it does. It totally does. And my other question was like you're the jumper type of ENFP, right?
Yeah.
So I think actually my best friend might be like your type exactly or very, very similar.
Yeah.
And so like how do you think how do you see yourself as the like tribe over self version of an ENFP? And how do you think that differs from the self over tribe version? Besides like the stock answers of like, you know, in theory, like I understand the theory of like what that would mean, but how do you see it play out in your life?
You know, before I got officially typed, I thought I was an NEFI ENFP because I felt like I was selfish and I felt like I was doing things for myself.
Yeah.
But like later on when I started talking to NEFI ENFPs,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, oh shit, like we are not the same. Like these guys are just talking about themselves all day, you
Yeah.
know? And well, for me, like I'll talk about myself, but then I'll bring it back to you and I want to hear your point of view.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a back and forth conversation. But
Right.
like the people with lead FI, it's just like, nope, it's about me. I don't even, you know, it's not
Yeah.
like I want to gather, let's say if it's an ENFP, it's like, oh, I want to learn more about this thing. So I want to gather about this thing and then that's fine, you
Mm-hmm.
know? But it's not like they don't want to get to know you, but it's just like they have a focus on themselves more. Like
Yeah.
for me, like even when I was a kid, like I used to play a lot of video games and it was almost like natural that for me to like start like my own guild. I don't know if you played like online games, but
Mm-hmm.
like
I
you,
understand the concept. Yeah.
yeah. So I would start my own guild. I would be the guild leader, and then like even my group of friends, like I'm the one organizing like our like let's say we're gonna go watch a movie. So when I was 13 years old, like hey, we're gonna go watch a movie. I was the one that planned it, what we're gonna go, what time we're gonna meet.
Right.
Like even recently, like my friend who got married, I was the one who planned his bachelor's party. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I had to there was eight friends that I had, and you know I had to deal with every one of them. Like I had IP friends who were like a pain in the ass to deal with because they're so selfish and they had so many demands that I have to meet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I was the one that's taking all this like hit to make this
Yeah.
bachelor's party happen, right? So you know,
Yeah.
so I realized I'm like, oh shit, I'm responsible for the tribe. You know, well for you, you're like, you know,
Right.
I'm not responsible for the tribe. You know.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. And that totally makes sense. And like being play first comes along with that. So, how do you see that kind of fitting in?
Being play first.
Yeah.
I think I was thinking about it. You know, in like the old Myers-Briggs term, they say like you get energy when you're around people, and then you recharge. So if you were an introvert, you lose and you gain energy by being by yourself, right?
Yeah.
And I was really thinking about it recently, and I was thinking like maybe what they're really talking about is play. So
Yeah.
play as a savior, then you get energy being around other humans. And if you play as a demon, then you need to time alone away from humans to recharge.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I was thinking. So since this coronavirus thing started happening, like I'm still like an Fi savior, right? So if I'm around too many pretentious people, then I start getting bogged down. So it doesn't matter if they're humans. I don't get energy from them because if they're being pretentious, like my Fi just blows up. I can't handle it. Like for me, authenticity is super important. But if everyone is authentic and they're just being themselves and I like them, they're fun to be around, then I get so much energy using play, right? And then when I'm by myself, I like it because I get to center my Fi and just like remember who exactly I am, and like I can feel like, okay, I'm being pulled towards this direction. This is not me. So cut that.
Oh, interesting.
But I
Okay.
notice my energy dropping when I do that. Like I'm actually getting like more demotivated, more tired, so.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I think like your point about like traditional extroversion versus introversion, as someone who's like sleep first, I would say that like I'm kind of in the middle between what you've described, like having blast play as well.
Yeah.
Like I think that I would say that I feel drained not when I'm alone. Definitely I don't feel drained when I'm alone. I feel drained when I'm with other people, but I think that I'm like totally fine, going out and like seeking experiences with other people and like doing the play. It's just I can't sustain it as long as someone who's more like maybe like play savior. So I do feel like I'm kind of in the middle on that. And that would make sense though, because I feel like I'm kind of this weird in between, like introvert, extrovert, kind of weird little.
Well, it seems like you're an extroverted INTJ technically,
Yeah, for sure.
but like because play is a demon, then it means humans would still drain you if exposed too long.
Yeah, and I spend like most of my time alone. Like I just spend so much time alone. And like it's like the sleep and the like processing and being alone is just the autopilot. But when I'm not doing that, I'm like quite extroverted. So I feel like an introverted person, but everyone's like, what? Like you're so extroverted,
Yeah.
So
I think you're a mild extrovert, right? Like a very mild.
yeah, pretty in the middle.
You are also an energy dominant. So like, how does that work for you? Like you're good at conserving and expending energy or balance with that stuff.
Yeah, I would say so. And also just like I think about that. Um, Not all the time, but like I'm conscious of how much energy I'm expending. And like yeah, just like what I can and cannot take on, I guess, in terms of like things that require energy or like mental energy even. Yeah, like if I'm kind of sick, like I'll just be like, oh sorry, like I can't come in today, like I'm not feeling well, even if it's not that bad. Like I'm just so quick to be like, fake cough and like get out of it.
That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know, that's probably just like a me thing, but
Where do you work?
well, I'm not working it like right now,
I mean, where
because
did you do this though? What job did you have? Was it like a teenager job, like a fast food place or something? Or
no, I actually joined the Peace Corps.
oh, okay. Oh,
So I
you're in the military? Is that the military?
no, the Peace Corps. So
What is
totally opposite. What?
what is the Peace Corps? What do you guys do there?
Oh, right, you're Canadian. The Peace Corps is basically like a volunteer version of study abroad.
Okay.
So I'm like a volunteer who goes to another country and you live there for 2 years. Like you make a commitment for 2 years, and then yeah, you work in that country. And there's a bunch of different sectors, but I was an English teacher.
Okay.
So I was in Ukraine
Oh, nice.
teaching English.
In like Kiev?
No, I was in the south, so it was a small city called Kherson. It's kind of neurodesa.
Okay, neurodesa, got it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think that's all the questions I have for you today.
Okay, awesome.
All right. So thanks for doing the interview, Hannah. And say bye to everyone. So bye, everyone.
Bye.
And we are